So let me illustrate a better approach to designing intelligent environments. To do so, I'm going to take you through 2 case studies very quickly about sensitive and intelligent environments. In 2 places, the kitchen and the department store. Let me start with the kitchen. Now, the kitchen's said to be the heart of the home. It's often where the family gather, and our initial sense was that eating and feeding the family isn't a simple transactional action. So our brief was to work with the appliance manufacturer's design team to create 2 new lines, a range of high-end appliances aimed at what you might term dedicated cooks, and an entry-level range for what they called millennials. In the interest of time, I'll concentrate on the high-end range. So at the outset, we really wanted to understand why people cook. What constitutes a meal for different types of families and living arrangements? What do meal times look like? Who's there? Who's cooking? What do they cook? We want to understand how their appliances can actually help them cook for the family. And because it's a kitchen, and a family kitchen or a shared kitchen, we had this kind of sense that it's not about efficiency. That actually you can only, there's something that preparing a meal is as much about love and an expression of something other than let's get calories into the children as quickly as possible. That does happen sometimes as someone with kids, but not always. So we got them to keep a diary study. We recruited a cohort of people. We asked them to keep a diary study for a month. We got them to record every meal that they ate at home. We asked them to record who was there, what they ate. We got them to photograph the ingredients beforehand, line them all up and photograph them. And then we got them to photograph the meals that they produced at the end as well. Now that's really important because there's a whole world of difference between sticking a shop-bought quiche in the oven and lovingly making the pastry by hand. And so we wanted to understand the difference between those kind of things. We interviewed them at the beginning, we interviewed them at the end, and we asked them to tell us how they chose their meals, and we examined their feelings around food and cooking and family, which gave us some really interesting longitudinal data about family meals. And that's really interesting and useful if you're going to design a range of kitchen appliances. We also recruited another group of people, and these guys had kind of drawn the short straw, because then we invited ourselves around to their houses for dinner. What we wanted to do is we wanted to understand how they use their appliances, how they use their kitchen. And so we went on a mealtime visit, and we made notes of every single thing that they did, and the timings for all of them. So if we continue kind of diving deep into this, we basically resurrected the time and motion study. Time and motion studies were really popular at the turn of the 20th century amongst factory owners, scientific management. And basically what it involves is splitting an activity into a number of work elements and then recording how long each work element takes and the position of people as they do those things. So we adapted this technique to the home kitchen. We basically visit them, we watch them cook a meal, we record everything that they do in detail, we capture every movement they make using a combination of notes and photographs, and then we analyze those out to produce trails like this one. So anybody who's ever done any eye tracking or seen any eye tracking will be familiar with this. This is a little bit like a gaze trail, but it's actually how people moved around the kitchen. And the little points are every time they did something at the place where they arrived. Now, everybody's kitchen obviously has a slightly different layout, so we have to adjust for that. But because we know where the appliances are and what they're standing at, we can then build a model and analyze it programmatically. We can answer questions like, how long do people spend at the hob? How many times does somebody visit the cooker? We can quantify the cooking process. And obviously, from having a detailed record of the meals that they prepare, we can sit down and analyze those too. So broadly speaking, we notice that there are 4 different types of meals. You've got the weeknight supper. Right? You get in, home from work, or the family gets in. You want to get something on the table in a reasonable amount of time without too much attention. You're probably doing other things. The kids are doing homework, or you're having a chat with your partner about their day at work, all of those kind of things. You've got weekend specials, so there's a bit more time at the weekend. Whereas weeknight suppers, it is quite a transactional process, actually. You're concerned about nutrition, you're concerned about preparing things that people like, but you want to kind of get it done in a reasonable amount of time and time box that activity. At the weekend, there's a little bit more time. There's a little bit more time to express yourself, to express your feelings for your family through the food that you prepare. And then there are two kinds of kind of special meals. Some people, when they're entertaining, they want to spend loads of time with their guests. So they kind of cheat. They kind of make sure that they produce something that's impressive, but doesn't actually take that much time to do. And then at the top, you've got the special occasion, where actually it is slaving over a stove for hours to produce, the pièce de résistance, the perfect meal for someone that you really care about. So alongside all of this in the home, we went into professional kitchens and we interviewed Michelin-starred chefs, and we kept time and motion studies in commercial kitchens. Now, I don't know whether you've ever been into a Michelin-starred kitchen, but it's amazing. The check comes in from the waiter or waitress and the chef calls out the order. 1 chicken, 1 beef, 2 risotto. And everybody goes, yes, chef, and kind of goes off to what they're about to do. Then every station keeps them informed of progress. 2 minutes on the beef. It's amazing. It's like a well-oiled machine. And what you notice from the time and motion studies is that people move a lot less. They'll stand at their station. All their things are around them. They're all within reach. And so most of the chefs, most of the people doing the cooking, are kind of 1 or 2 steps from where they need to get everything that they need. And the only journey they take then is from their station to the pass. The people who move most in a professional kitchen are the kitchen porters or the washer-uppers. They're the people who kind of grab all the stuff that's dirty, get it washed up, and then return it to the stations. And the head chef, well, they just stand at the pass, calling out orders, checking things as they come in, building the final dishes, adding a little swish of this, and putting things on the plate with some tweezers, and all of that kind of stuff. So we start working with all of this data and analysis about meals and how people cook and how a professional kitchen works and what kind of techniques that professional kitchens are using that home cooks might be using in a couple of years' time. Because if you're designing kitchen appliances, then you're always working like 3-5 years ahead, And you know what it reminds me of? Mickey Mouse in Fantasia. The Sorcerer's Apprentice? Dum, dum, da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-da-da. I couldn't get that out of my head. I'd be standing in the shower or doing something, and I'd keep hearing this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And because that's what a brigade's like for a head chef. He's standing there orchestrating the preparation of food. Now, this whole Fantasia thing comes together with something that we spot about the cooker hood. Right, if you think about your cooker hood, if you've got one, it sits above your hob. And it's got the perfect vantage point across your kitchen. It sees everything that's going on, or it would do. At the moment, it sits there kind of sucking up hot air and moisture and cooking smells. But it could do so much more. It has a perfect view down over the hobs, first of all, and then a perfect view out over the kitchen as a space as well. So we started wondering, what if we could link all of these kitchen appliances together? What if these smart appliances, as well as being connected to the internet, actually talk to each other, actually work like that brigade to help you prepare a meal? And the cooker hood would be the master. That would be like the equivalent of the head chef, the one where all the intelligence sat. Imagine if you could control the hob using a gesture. I point to the ring, I tell it how much I want. Imagine then that the hood above the hob can watch that pan. So as soon as that pan reaches a nice rolling boil, it can keep it there. It can communicate with the hob underneath to turn it up, turn it down a little bit, and keep it at a rolling boil. The hood above, can monitor all of that. And it opens up another possibility. If you're into your food, you probably know about sous vide cooking, right? It's cooking in a water bath. But for sous vide cooking, you need to maintain the temperature of the water. And if you think about that relationship all of a sudden between hob and hood, you've got the possibility to be able to do sous vide cooking in just a pan of water. And so you can start seeing this whole Fantasia concept coming together. The smartest device in the kitchen is the hood. It's packed with temperature sensors, a full motion control kit, voice control. Mickey Mouse, eat your heart out. And then we take that to prototype, and actually all this technology already exists. You know, the motion sensors, the motion control, the voice control, all of that kind of exists. So that moves us on to the next stage. We start looking at the digital services to support it. So this is a picture of the kitchen choreographer. That basically lives inside the app for the appliance range. And so you choose a recipe, or tell it about a recipe, and it knows when things need to happen. So you imagine you're cooking your roast chicken for your Sunday lunch. You choose a roast chicken recipe. The app starts the oven preheating. It tells you you need to go and grab a lemon from the side and some thyme, go and cut some thyme from the garden, and then ram that up the chicken's cavity. Tells you when the oven is preheated, tells you when to put it in. It tells you to prep the vegetables and stand the vegetables in the steamer. Tells you to peel the spuds and put them in the water on the hob. But then it can work out when the hob needs to start to parboil your roast potatoes. It can work out when your vegetables need to start cooking to steam. So then the choreographer turns on the hob to parboil the potatoes, turns the hob off when they're parboiled, sends you a message out in the garden on your phone to come in and roll them in some goose fat, get them in the ovens for some roast potatoes. Basically, that choreographer can orchestrate that whole cooking experience, including the human element.